Playing golf with a regular customer. Wait for 3 hours. The man laughing happily on the other end of the phone is the second-generation president of a real estate company that I do business with. The first-generation president was a serious and good person, but the second-generation son is the complete opposite. I've been indebted to Sendai, but I can't stand it anymore. After this, I put a plan into action. As a result, the second-generation president was put through hell. My name is Sato. I'm 30 years old. My parents died in a car accident when I was in elementary school. Thanks to my kind maternal aunt, I grew up without any strange twists. After graduating from high school, I didn't go to college, but instead worked as a sales representative for a small local advertising agency. Our company's target is also local companies. We plan strategies for products and services, and work together with our business partners to sell things. Recently, we've been creating and distributing free local information pamphlets, and they've been surprisingly well received, so we're planning to expand our distribution. Thank you for your help. This is Sato. Yes, okay. I'll respond right away. I often get new job requests from companies that have noticed my potential, and as a salesperson, I am very busy every day. However, my work is very fulfilling and enjoyable. I hope to continue to liven up my local area through my work. Then one day. Is it a high-rise office space issue? Oh, I want Sato-kun to be in charge. This building is being purchased from the owner by a real estate company run by our business partner, President E. It is not a formal contract yet, but if nothing happens, it seems that the contract will be concluded. They will rent it out immediately after the contract is signed, so they want to proceed with the discussions as far as they can, even before the formal contract is signed. This real estate company is one that our company has used several times. To be precise, we were helped by the president, Sendai. That president passed away 6 months ago, and his son took over as the second president. We hadn't received any job requests for a while, but President Sen must have been busy with various things due to his sudden and illegal actions. I only caught a glimpse of his son, President E, at the funeral, and I have never spoken to him even when he was alive. I was a little nervous, wondering what kind of person he might be, but I headed to President I's company for the meeting. The high-rise building that Hidenaga's real estate company is negotiating to buy is a large building in front of the station. It was built on the land of a landowner who owns land in the city and was intended for use as an office. President I's real estate is trying to buy the ownership of it. If all the office space is used, it will bring in considerable profits. Since this is a very important task for President I's company, he will apparently be attending this meeting as well. However, there was only one person in the conference room I was shown to. Nice to meet you. It's Mono, the person in charge. Sato. Nice to meet you. When I looked around briefly, Mono-san bowed his head apologetically. I'm sorry. Our company president is ready. Is that so? After that, the two of us continued our discussion. After hearing Masa-san's wishes, I made a rough plan and presented him with the idea of importing. That would be great, Masa-san. That would be helpful. Then please work out the details in the direction you have proposed. Masa-san gave me the okay, and I nodded with a smile. Just when I thought this job was going smoothly, the door to the conference room suddenly opened. Sorry, I'm late. The person who entered was dressed in a fancy suit. He was the second-generation president I had seen at President Zen's funeral. It was President Ide. Shall we begin the meeting? Without even apologizing, he slumped into a chair. I was so shocked that I just stared blankly at the scene, but Masa-san explained as if he was used to it. We had already discussed the matter before the president arrived. Here is the content. You want to discuss it without me? Isn't the price a bit high? And the content is plain, so why don't you make it more flashy and flashy? I couldn't think of a way to respond to the extremely vague content. Once again, it was Mono-san who answered in my place as I fell silent. Regarding Hatenanet, what kind of form do you want specifically? It's your job to figure that out. I'll consider it. The price is within budget, but Masa-san's objection made the president look annoyed. Hey, what are you talking about? I, the president, am saying it's too expensive, so you should try to keep it cheaper. After that, the president kept complaining that I was taken aback, but judging from Mono-san's behavior, it seems that this is his daily routine. So, please reflect all my requests. It's lunchtime, so you guys can proceed on your own. Mono-san sighed deeply as President I left the conference room. I'm sorry, Sato-san. You must have been surprised. Well, it's been like this ever since he became the second president. All the employees are being manipulated by him, and to be honest, I'm reaching my limit. Sukuma-san looked exhausted. Is he really that cornered that he can't help but complain to me, an outsider? I was worried about whether he would be okay, but a week after this meeting, I got a call saying that he had collapsed from overwork. To make matters worse, the person in charge of the high-rise building's violations was passed from Mono-san to President. I ended up having to deal with all the president's problems. So with this budget, we need to make major changes to the plan, so it's your job to somehow make it work. Every time we meet, President E gives us unreasonable things. It often happens that what the president said in the previous meeting ends up being completely different in the next meeting. As a result, the discussions don't progress very well. President E doesn't think he's the cause at all, and has gotten used to the idea that it's my fault that the meetings don't progress. What university did you graduate from? You can't do your job like this, so what university did you go to? I'm a high school graduate. Not to mention Efran, you're a high school graduate? It's no wonder you're incompetent. I can't trust my precious building to a high school graduate idiot. Switch the person in charge to someone more capable. In the end, he yells at me in a high-handed manner, and I think it's no wonder that Mono collapsed. Because of President E, the work doesn't progress as a father. The discussions have significantly exceeded the originally scheduled time. Oh, what should I do? As I sit at my desk with my head in my hands, President E calls me. We had exchanged our work phone numbers, but the president would call me at any time, so I regretted giving him my number. Yes, it's Sato. You, come to my company this Saturday. Because of you, the discussions haven't progressed at all, so I'll waste my precious day off and work for you. It's the president's fault that work isn't progressing, but I'm used to him trying to pin the blame on me. But I can't stand having to work on a holiday all of a sudden. What's wrong with you this week? Is there something more important than working with me? The president is overbearing and makes it hard to refuse. I had plans to go out with my family this week, but now that things have turned out like this, there's nothing I can do. Okay. So I hang up the phone on Saturday and sigh deeply. It seems like I have no choice but to apologize to my family and get them to understand. And on Saturday, I arrived at President I's company 10 minutes before the appointed time. Today is Saturday, so President I's company is closed. Xiao is completely silent and the front door is open. I waited for the president to arrive while the sun was shining. He's late. But the president never showed up. After 20 minutes, I couldn't stand the heat any longer, so I called President E. Yes, what's up? The president answered the phone in a voice that sounded annoyed. What's up? I'm supposed to have a meeting today, right? I've already arrived at the music company. Then President E said something unbelievable. Oh, that's right. But I'm currently playing golf with a client. Just wait there for another 3 hours. Yes. I couldn't help but ask him again at his completely predictable response. My reaction seemed to have summoned him to the ocean, and he let out a voice of amusement. Of course the client should be the one in a meeting with a high school dropout. Even an idiot should know that much. President E let out a loud, vulgar laugh. This guy was having fun making me feel uncomfortable and watching my reaction. Mono-san must have been the victim of this kind of harassment. There are some despicable people in this world who make a living by bullying others, and President E seems to be one of those types. President Jaeon was a kind and caring person. But his son is this lowly. Anger wells up inside me. I was planning to have a fun outing with my family today. We had been planning it for a long time, and I was looking forward to it and working hard. But because of President I, my fun was ruined. I remember the sad faces of my family when they found out that their plans had been ruined, and my anger explodes. Is that so? Then I will transfer the ownership of the skyscraper to someone else. Huh? What are you talking about? I hang up the phone without waiting for President I to reply. And I immediately contacted someone. 30 minutes later, I was taking a break while returning to my company when President I called again. Yes, hello. What on earth did you do? Unlike his voice that sounded like he was scolding me earlier, he sounded cornered and stressed. On the other hand, I said this with a nonchalant attitude. What happened? I can't tell unless you tell me the details. I'm not a psychic, so the contract for the planned building was cancelled. The current owner called me earlier and said that he would sell the ownership to another real estate agent. Oh, is that what you mean? Well, I guess that can't be helped. My aunt, who owns the broadcasting building, said that she couldn't trust her precious real estate to someone who doesn't take his job seriously and can't keep his promises, and the president fell silent for a while after hearing my response. What did you just say? The president asked me in a trembling voice, and I answered him like this. That building that the president was negotiating to buy belongs to my aunt. My maternal aunt's family has been a landowner for generations. That's right, when my parents died, it was my aunt, who was born and raised in a landowner's family, who took me in. My mother was also the daughter of a wealthy family, but she didn't get along with her parents, and they opposed her marriage to my father, so she cut off all ties with them. Since then, my mother stopped coming home, but my aunt, worried about my younger sister, secretly kept in touch with her. Then, when my aunt found out that my younger sister and her husband had died, she persuaded her own parents to take me in. I had never met my maternal grandparents or relatives, so the first time I met my aunt was after the accident. I felt suspicious of meeting an adult for the first time, but my aunt looked me straight in the eye and told me everything that had happened, without any excuses for being a child. At the time, the content of what she was saying was difficult and I couldn't understand even half of it, but even as a child I understood that this was someone I could trust, so I took my aunt's hand. My aunt was married and had children of her own, but she raised me without any discrimination. I was adopted by a wealthy family, so of course I could afford to go to college, but I didn't have anything in particular that I wanted to study, and I thought it would be a waste of money for me to go to college, so I chose to graduate from high school. By the way, I haven't told anyone that my aunt comes from a landowning family. If I try to show off my wealth, it will only attract strange people and will not benefit me in any way. In addition, my mother is estranged from her family. I have no intention of inheriting my aunt's assets, and I only know that there is someone a little bit amazing in my bloodline. However, I can't keep quiet about things related to my aunt's work. Selling that building was a big deal for my aunt, and she wanted to sell the ownership to a reliable real estate agent. However, judging from President I's past behavior, he is by no means a trustworthy partner. As a member of society and as a person, President E is a total failure. I reported what had happened to my aunt. I had only complained about work. And after the president had left me waiting for him earlier, I immediately called my aunt to report. You did that to my son? Then I'll give the ownership to another company. My aunt said this in an angry voice. My aunt had probably contacted President E about the contract. And so the president called me in a panic. No way, you're kidding me. You're a low-achieving high school graduate who ended up being the landlord's lover. Shouldn't you stop judging people based on their appearance alone? Something like what happened with Simona will happen again. With President E still silent, I told him a certain fact. By the way, some of the properties my aunt owns are managed by President I's company. I think that's how the current high-rise building ownership deal came to President I's company, but my aunt, who is applying for the position, is also considering transferring other properties to another company. That's why President I is raising the necessary cry. Losing trust at work can sometimes lead to huge losses. President I must have learned the hard way from this incident. If he loses the properties my aunt owns, it will be a huge blow to President I's company. How he recovers from this depends on how President I acts, but this man has chosen to shake hands again. Hey, I'm sorry for everything that's happened so far, so please intercede with my aunt. President Jaeon, you've been taken care of by my father, haven't you? Now is the time to repay that favor. When I first met President I told him during our casual conversation that President Jaeon had been very kind to me. But to bring that topic up now and tell me to repay him. I wonder how much this man needs to eat my nerves to satisfy himself. I've certainly been very kind to President Jaeon. When I was a new member of society and didn't know what to do, President Zen watched over me warmly and sometimes gave me guidance. Right? Well, that's just between me and President Zen. I haven't received anything from you personally, and you're causing me trouble by ruining my precious holidays with your harassment. When it comes to work, all you do is complain. You were just enjoying seeing my reaction when I was troubled, weren't you? I'm surprised at how quickly I can come up with counterattacks. President Ide seems overwhelmed by his energy. No, that's not it. I didn't mean to harass you or anything like that. Then why were you laughing so hard when you were complaining to me? If you're doing it without my knowledge, your boy is hopelessly rotten. Unable to respond properly, President Ide fell silent, and I let out a long sigh in response. It seems you're not cut out to be president. I won't be doing business with your company in the future. Of course, I won't be interceding with my aunt either. Whatever happens to your company in the future is your responsibility as president. Hey, wait a minute. Please. Listen to me. You see, how much time do you think I've wasted on you up until now? I don't have any more time to spend on you. Time is money. There's no benefit to me in pointless chatting with you, so I'll decline any further conversation. I can't help but feel hopeless at the sound of President I's voice. I can't see his face, but he's probably pale. Well then, I'll take my leave. I pretend not to hear him and hang up the phone. That should be enough punishment for an incompetent president. I call the president's contact number on the phone and close my phone. I immediately take action. I withdraw all my assets from the president's company and join another company. I also sign a contract with another real estate agent regarding the ownership of the high-rise building. Thanks to my aunt introducing my company to that real estate agent, our company's losses are almost zero, except for the loss of my day off. Later, the president gave me special leave to coincide with my child's holiday, and I even got a small bonus, so I guess you could say it's a positive thing. According to industry rumors, the president sold materials to make up for the losses, but of course it wasn't enough, and the company's finances are in dire straits. Mono, who had collapsed from overwork and was eating lunch, heard about the incident and began looking for a new job. I was told that he had successfully found a job at another real estate agency. It seems that other employees are also leaving the company one after another, displeased with the incompetent president. If things continue like this, President I's company will be in danger of going out of business, but it's his own fault, so there's no room for him to stay in the same place. Meanwhile, I'm still busy with work today. I plan to use my paid leave next month to spend time with my family, in order to make up for the days off that President I had ruined. Hello. It's Sato. Thank you for your help. I'm working hard today, looking forward to that day.